Williston Richmond Rotary Club, I want to thank you for being here and celebrating the Memorial Day and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I want to thank those who served and thank the families that support those who served. We're going to start today's festivities with Amazing Grace by bagpipes, and then we'll hear from Chris Burns, our incoming president.
Good morning. This is a wonderful crowd here for a very special occasion. My name is Chris Burns, DiBiasio. On behalf of the Williston Richmond Rotary Club, I want to thank you for joining us today to remember and honor those men and women who answered the call to duty and gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Throughout American history, from the patriots who fired the first shots in the Revolutionary War 250 years ago, to those who are deployed around the world today, our country has been fortunate to have citizens willing to serve and fight for our freedom. This Memorial Day, we honor all who died protecting our freedoms. Some fell in combat, some died afterwards from their wounds, and others, like my dad, survived, living in the peace that they fought so hard to win. I'm honored to be here today to welcome you on this very important day of remembrance. Now, would you please welcome Charlie McGill. Charlie is a Rotarian and a member of the Williston Federated Church who will give the invocation. Charlie?
During World War II, one of the things that you commonly saw was a banner hanging in a window, a blue border, a white banner with blue stars. When the barriers held 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue stars, one for each family member serving in the military for the war. Sadly, too often some of those stars turned gold as those serving were killed. Today, we come together to honor all those who were represented by those gold stars, for all who gave their lives in service to their country. The numbers are staggering. The Revolutionary War, 23,800. The War of 1812, more than 15,000. The Mexican-American War, 15,283. American Civil War from both sides, 655,000. The Indian Wars, 909. The Spanish-American War, 2,063. The Philippine-American War, 4,169. World War I, 116,516. World War II, 405,399. The Korean War, 36,575. The Vietnam War, 58,220. The Gulf War, 294. The War in Afghanistan, 2,335. The Iraq War, 4,492. Total over 1,308,468 people died in our wars. We have another 69 conflicts that have led to deaths throughout the world. But on Memorial Day, there's another point to be made. War kills. War maims. War destroys communities, poisons the environment. Children of war grow up without parents. Whenever we're deciding that war is worth it, for good reasons and for bad reasons, the decision for war is deciding that people will die. Rather than look away on Memorial Day, this is the day to look directly at that reality. We honor those who die in wars. We must not lose sight of the fact that war equals death. Let us honor those who have died for our country today by becoming workers for peace. Amen.
And now I'd like to introduce Eric Wallace, Williston's town manager.
Good morning, everyone. It's always great to have this room full, and thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you for the Williston Richmond Rotary Club for organizing this morning's event. And thank you all for being here as we remember and pay tribute to those who gave their lives in service to our country. We all have connections to those who have served, and as a community, this is our opportunity to remember and reflect upon their service. Thank you all for being here today as we remember.
And now with some reflections, I'd like to introduce Armand Fournier and Leslie Murray. They are both members of our Williston Richmond Rotary Club.
The poem "In Flanders Fields" was one of the most iconic poems of World War I. It was written May 3rd, 1915, by a Canadian physician and Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He composed it at an advanced dressing station near Ypres, Belgium, shortly after presiding over the funeral of a very close friend and soldier, Lieutenant Alex Hunt. McCrae was deeply struck by the devastation around him, yet he noticed that the only things growing amidst the newly dug graves and makeshift graves and decimated battlefields were the red posies. He wrote this poem in 20 minutes, sitting on the back of an ambulance. In Flanders field, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. In the skies, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amidst the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset and glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders field. Take up our quarrel with our foes, to you failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break the faith with us who die, we shall never sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field.
In New York, in November 1918, an American woman named Moyna Michael came across the poem In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. She was so moved that she made a personal pledge to keep the faith. She felt compelled to make a note of this pledge and hastily scribbled notes on an envelope. From that day, she vowed to wear a red poppy of Flanders Fields as a sign of remembrance. I'd like to read to you the poem that she wrote. We Shall Keep the Faith by Moyna Michael, November 1918. Oh, you who sleep in Flanders fields, sleep sweet to rise anew. We caught the torch you threw, and holding high, we keep the faith with all who died. We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies, but lends a luster to the red of the flower that blooms above the dead in Flanders fields. And now the torch and poppy red we wear in honor of our dead. Fear not that ye have died for naught. We'll teach the lesson that ye wrought in Flanders fields. In honor of all veterans and their families, we renew our pledge to keep the faith and remember their sacrifice. You should have been given a red poppy when you entered the building this morning, and if for some reason you weren't, please see me afterwards. We have those to give out to people who are here today. These poppies are shared in loving memory of our dear friend Ramona Mona Gordon, a proud member of the VFW Post 782 for more than 50 years. Mona handed out poppies every Memorial Day to honor those who served. Today we continue that tradition in her name. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Leslie. Have you ever noticed the area between the Town Hall Annex and the Town Hall? There's a beautiful memorials there. And part of the memorial is a brick walk with names on it. And here's Phil Stevens to talk about it. He's also a member of our Richmond Williston Rotary Club. He's also going to talk about those engraved bricks.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, we normally do this outdoors. The weather didn't get the notice. I have the honor of continuing a project that was started by Deb Beckett our former town clerk and a fellow Rotarian. Her idea was to have bricks engraved with the names of veterans, living and dead, who have served our country. And for any profit that was made from the purchase of these bricks, to apply it to the Rotary Charity Foundation so that Rotary charities can be supported. Every member of our armed services deserves our sincere gratitude for their service. No matter how small or insignificant they may think their contributions were or are, it is not without cost to them and their families. Whether they died in battle or suffered physical or mental damage, returned home early from the burn pits to die of exposure, or suicide, or simply they cannot re-enter society because of their trauma or PTSD. They deserve our gratitude. And we must show that. And that is the purpose of our bricks. From the words of a song by Billy Ray Cyrus, all gave some gave all. If you know a veteran and you would wish them to receive this recognition, I have a flyer on the entry table that explains the process. The bricks are inscribed by a laser. It's a permanent marking. You cannot erase it, you cannot change it, and it will last for a long time. Our observance in last Veterans Day was canceled, and so I have included the names of all of those honored since last Memorial Day, and I will now read those 11 new names on the bricks. Richard Crandall, Scott K. Courier, Jacqueline S. Hood Festel, Douglas J. Hood, Roderick K. Hood, Todd M. Isham, Linus W. Kenner, Gary E. LaRock, Kenneth G. McDonald, Will McDowell, Halsey G. Bill Shortsleeves, I will now read the names on the other 49 bricks that we have installed in the park. Deborah Beckett, John L. Bevins Sr., Sean A. Blaine, Ken Blau, Norman Boyden, Benjamin Brissett, Courtney Brissett, Harold E. Brown Jr., John Burrows, Stuart Burrows, Joseph Sharon, Brian S. Decatur, Jeffrey Drabelbus, Lester Durrett, Armand Fournier, Alvin L. Isham, David H. Isham, George E. Isham, Kenneth L. Isham, Roderick C. Isham, Truman R. Isham, Harold Cardamon, Stephen S. Lebrecht, James E. Leet, Charlie McGill, Jack Martin, James D. McCullough, William E. Michael, Kenneth L. Munson Jr., or Sr., I'm sorry, Louis V. Nigel, Troy Lee O'Brien, Linwood Osborne, David Raymond Park, David R. Park Jr., MD, George E. Passage Jr., James R. Paya Jr., Cecile Phillips, Don Phillips, Clean Bud Pigeon, Alan C. Rock, George D. Rockwood, Maxine Rosenthal, Robert L. Rounds, Kenneth C. Schaeffler, Lynn P. Shepard, Jeff Smarden, Ken Stone, Arthur F. Tuttle. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Phil mentioned the song by Billy Ray Cyrus, Some Gave All. At the conclusion of today's observance, I'll be playing that song. Very powerful song for the tear Christ. Now we're going to be reading and honoring the deceased veterans list, the roll call. We're going to start with Andrew Becker.
I will read the names. Charles Albert Sr., Robert Alberts, Larry A. Alexander, Nathan Allen, George Dana Alling, Dana B. Alling, Kent G. Ames, Carl C. Anderson, Richard L. Angolano, Lawrence A. Appleby, Harold H. Azeltine, James Azeltine, Gregory Ashley, James E. Ashley, George Austin, David M. Ayers, Robert C. Ayers, Henry F. Barber, Dennis H. Barker, Mardine D. Barrows, James M. Barton, Guy Bates, John Allen Bates, John Azel Bates, Robert Beach, Jean Guy Beaudry, Clinton G. Beardsley, and Norman G. Beauvais.
Armand Fournier will continue the list.
Deborah Beckett, Paul Begins, William Begins, Charles Benny, Edmund Belair, Edward Belair, Roy Belair, Arthur J. Benoit, Rainey Berard, Army Bing, George Bing, Dr. Thomas Benny, Thomas G. Blair, Frederick H. Blist, George J. Blist, John B. Blist, John M. Boardman, Emile Boutin, Gerard Boutin, Leo J. Boutin, Luger Boutin, Roland Boutin, John A. Bradish, Henry M. Bradley, Timothy M. Bradley, Charles M. Brown, John Brown, and Lester Brown, Jr.
Debbie Ingram will now continue.
Edward Brownell, Hilda Bruce, Margaret Bruce, Muriel Bruce, Phyllis Bruce, Donald Burbank, Wayland M. Burgess, Burton S. Burnett, Edward Burnett, James Burnett, Norman Burnett, Henry A. Campagna, Raymond Campagna, Howard Casey, Renee Chaloux, Sean Charbonneau, Kenneth Charland, Preston Charland, William Z. Chisholm, Giles Chittenden, Thomas Chittenden, Joseph Christmas, Paul Clark, James H. Close Sr., Louis B. Cole, David B. Conant, Thomas W. Connolly, Jr., James Cormier.
Faith Leach has the next list.
Bert Cross, Clifford Cross, Michael J. Cunningham, Frederick L. Danforth, Stanley Davis, Robert C. Deal, Frank DeGree, Curtis DeMore, Robert P. Dussault, Floyd DeVoit, Walter E. Douglas, Frank Dow, Robert D. Droyne, Eugene Dufresne, Paul Dufresne, Roy L. Dykeman, John H. Ellis, Vernon F. Emerson, John P. Fielding, Raymond Fontaine, Adrian Fortier, Lawrence Forville, Lloyd Fuller, Robert Fuller, Ernest Godet, Noel Garthier, Paul Garthier, and Donald Germain.
Martin Lewinter continues.
Robert E. Germain, Donald Goodrich, Robert P. Goyette, Eugene Hansen, John Harper, and a second John Harper, Elliot Hawkins, James W. Haley, Leroy S. Horton, Henry A. House, Dwayne B. Hulbert, Leonidas X. Ionu, Russell Ireland, Richard T. Irish, Joseph Jacobs, Donald Johnson, Edward A. Johnson, Ryland Johnson, Ward Johnson, Clarence Kendrew, Albert Lacasse, Catherine Lacasse, Clarence Lacasse, Francis Lacasse, Raymond Lacasse, Newell C. Langley, Donald LaRock, Joyce LaRue.
We now have Terry Massick.
Walter C. Lashua, Rayburn F. Levine Sr., Rayburn Levine Jr., Alexander Lee, Nelson LaFave, William S. Leggett Sr., Jason Lillard, Roy Lunderville, Howard Lunderville, Lester Lunderville, Harold Lyons, David Mace, Ruth Mace, Vernon Mace, and Vernon R. Mace, Princess Mahan Sr., Malcolm C. Martell, Matt R. Maxon, Arthur Maynard, James D. McKellar, Clarence J. Merchant, Harold Merchant, Robert C. Merrill, Emerson Miles, William Miles, Elisha Miller, Randolph Miller.
One of our newest members, Tracy Seamster.
Walter Miller, Clement Mungeon, Julian F. Mungeon, Leonard V. Mungeon, Calvin Morse, Kenneth N. Morton Sr., Roswell Morton, Irving Mossy, Caleb Munson, Asael H. Niles, Charles A. Niles, Bernard O'Brien, Julia O'Brien, Marshall O'Brien, Troy O'Brien, Jesse Osborne, Roland Osborne, Frank Palladdy Jr., Harry Palladdy, Kenneth Palladdy, James Park, Fred Pollard, Earl E. Pollard, Ralph Pillsbury, Jeffrey B. Pollock, Burnett M. D. Rawson, Doug Ritchie,
Chris Stewart.
Frank Riggs, Robert Robert, Edward Roberts, Emil Roberts, Gerard Roberts, Henry Roberts, Paul Roberts, Alan C. Rock, Leo Roy, Walter Rule, Ernest Sadlier, Kenneth Sadlier, Ralph Santor, Anthony Senna, Harold Senna, Julius Senna, Norma Senna, Halsey Shortsleeves, Roy Sinclair, Mark Sipple, Melvin Smale, Valu Spalding, Weldon Spalding, Stanley Stanley, Frank Staple, Oscar Staple, Nathan Stearns, Andrew Stevens.
And now Sally Stockwell Metro.
Our town clerk, Sarah Mason, has just given me the names of 2 recently deceased veterans that are not on this list. And they are Philip T. Ryan and Roderick R. Boutin. James Talcott, Stuart Talcott, Clifford Tardy, Joseph Tardy, Henry Terrier, Craig Tatro, Everett Tatro, William L. Tessier, Lavinia Taft Tilley, Silas H. Tilley, Clark E. Tulip, Clifford Turner, Carl Uri, Paul Vizina, Ralph Vizina Sr., William Washburn, Marcus Westcott, William White, John H. Whitten, George F. Wing, Joseph B. Wood, Eugene H. Woods, Clarence Wolford, Elisha Wright, Ira E. Yandow.
Thank you, fellow Rotarians. And if there's any names that we did not, of the deceased veteran that we did not include, please announce their name now.
Will McDowell.
Thank you. Now, have a moment of silence, and then the ringing of the bell by our previous town manager, Rick McGuire. So a moment of silence, honoring those that during this moment. The ringing of the bell is known as an ancient toning method, where the bell is rung 7 times. This represents 7 distinct stages of a veteran's journey, beginning with the choice to serve and ending with the ultimate sacrifice. Taps are provided by Luke Bueller. He's a senior athlete musician at Champlain Valley Union High School. This is the 5th year he's played taps for us. Thank you, Luke. Thank you all for today's festivities. And there's some refreshments down there, coffee and refreshments. So please partake. Thank you all for coming.
My name is Phil Stevens, and I'm a member of the Williston Richmond Rotary Club. One of our members, and also the town clerk of the town of Williston, Vermont, started a project in this park to expand the recognition of war veterans. It was begun as a recognition of some of our fallen service people, but Deborah Beckett felt that we should increase that to include all people associated with Williston. And so we offer to purchase these special bricks, which are basically inscribed with a laser and cannot be erased. And they are mounted in the park here in remembrance of those who have served our country, whether they died or whether they served and came home broken, or in some way, no matter what they did for the service of our country, they served, they helped our country, and they deserve our recognition and our thanks and our gratitude. That's the purpose of this program. We offer that as a service to the people of Williston, and we'd be happy to hear from you. You may contact me as Phil Stevens at the Williston Richmond Rotary Club. Thank you.